Welcome back. You're watching Sky's the Limit, and I'm Umar Khalid, but in conversation with renowned architect, educationist, and cartoonist Dr. Shaukat Mahmood. Dr. Saab, we talked a little bit about your personal life, but here I'm a little bit intrigued as far as your relationship with the fine arts has been. Of course, you were interested in it, then you went to architecture, but you came back here. How has this up and down relationship with your fine arts been?
Well, I think the vicissitudes are a part of life. I mean, you go up and you come down. You sometimes you get into problems and you get out of them. When I write my CV or biodata, beside academic qualifications, I also give academic disasters.
All right. Well, that's very rare as far as the CV is concerned.
I'll always include that disaster in me. And the background in 1994, there was ad in from the federal government that they wanted a principal for the National College of Arts.
All right.
And the ad said that the applicant should be either MA in Fine Arts or MSc in Architecture.
Okay.
And preference will be given to a PhD.
Okay. Of course, because you fit all three criteria.
So I thought nobody can compete with me, so I wanted to apply. But as a first case, my wife said, no, you shouldn't apply, because this is a Safarshi door and you will not get this job. Nevertheless, I applied. But then when the time came to going to Islamabad for the interview, my wife again said, no, please don't go. So I still remember there was an evening like this, I was sitting at home. A telephone call came from Islamabad, Secretary Education was speaking. And he said that, Shaukat Sahab, aap aaye nahi, aaj interviews the subah. So I made an excuse. I said I couldn't get the air ticket, so I am sorry I couldn't come. Anyway. After some time, then Khurshid Shah Sahab, the then education minister, he talked to me कि आप आ जाएं हमारा आप एयरपोर्ट पे पहुँचें हमारा आप बंदा आपको जहाज़ में बिठा देगा. So I went to Islamabad and people were waiting at the airport for me and they took me to assembly halls because Khurshid Shah was in the assembly at that time. When we reached the assembly, they said, oh, the session is over, now you can go to his house. Okay. So myself and the selection board and the chairman, the University Grant Commission at that time, we went to Khurshid Shah Sahab's house. Interview was held. Then he sent me out, then he called me in and hugged me and congratulated me that you are now the new principal. Next day the news was flashed in the newspaper that Maxim is the new principal of NCA. So I'm quite happy. While my students at the Engineering University, they hung posters that I shouldn't go. So they wanted me to stay there. But then I waited and waited for my appointment letter. That never came. Okay. At that time, Benazir was Pakistan's Prime Minister. And then she appointed a lady who had none of these qualifications. So that I think was the biggest disaster.
As far as your career is concerned.
My career, I don't bother about the principalship, but the way the things went, that was really shock to me. But she used to talk high about merit and this and that. Even Khurshid Shah used to talk high about the merit. Still he is talking high about the merit. But the merit has become a joke now. It's absolutely a joke. Then after a couple of years there was a job in HSN College principalship. Same thing happened again. So I was quite frustrated. That frustration sometimes still comes to me. But Alhamdulillah, I am well placed and I am happy. Have a lot of respect. My students respect me. And I'm famous also.
But that you are, of course, and we'll be talking of those facets as well. Dr. Shaukat Mahmood, you're the coordinator of the PhD program as far as the arts section is concerned in the Punjab University. How has that been?
When I came as an HSC professor from Malaysia, I was posted at Punjab University, and Alhamdulillah in these 6, 7, 8 years, we have raised the level of research in the university. And we have not only raised the level of research, we have also inculcated a spirit amongst our students to go for higher studies. And I am very glad to tell you that our students have done wonderful jobs in the field of research.
When you say you've inculcated that spirit of research, what kind of research are you looking at?
Well, I mean, for doing PhD or MPhil, it is an open thing. You can conduct research on anything. You can do research on your heritage. You can do your folk arts thing. There are unlimited items, and we have unlimited topics on which our students are doing research.
But sir, there are unlimited topics, but is there enough material for them to research on or take as, I mean, a background information?
Oh, that's the real challenge. I mean, if you start researching that I want to do research on the evolution of Khussa, for example, that's the real challenge because you will not get enough material on Khussas. Only this morning another student was talking to me about the Rahl. I mean the Quran stand, the evolution, its function, its decorative element. And these are the things which are not known, but they should be made known to.
You've written about 500 research papers on different topics. What were those that really were very close to your heart? Because of course out of 500, can you choose one or two or a couple?
Well, actually, when I write about the conservation and the plight of our monuments, those are the articles which are very close to my heart.
All right.
Because the way our heritage, particularly the architectural heritage, is suffering, I think it has no parallel.
But I was reading through all the articles that you've sent. I mean, some of them because I of course could not read all of them. But there's a very thorough research on all the buildings that you've done. But this research, you must have given it to the administration so that they could kind of improve, because you must have found lacunas in the construction, things that are kind of downgrading at this moment, because of course any construction, any building does not sustain itself for a long period. It has to be kind of remade, or little things that are not going right with it need to be restored. What do you feel about the state of restoration?
There is no restoration at all. I don't think so. There is proper restoration of any of our monuments. And when the self-styled conservationists or restorers are doing the job, they are really spoiling the monument. One precondition for restoration is that whatever you do, whatever the action you take with the building, it should be reversible. So if it is not proper, it should come back to its stage. But in our case, they are destroying the monument. Sometimes they are constructing new monument. One particular example is the Kamran's Baradari, standing in the middle of river Ravi. That's not a piece of architecture or piece of historical architecture. Totally a new building. So that's not conservation. So this is happening at other places also. You look at Rohtas Fort, it's totally ruined, totally ruined. Nobody is taking care. Funds come and then they go into the pockets, not to the monuments.
But I mean, you say funds do come, and there must be a lot of foreign interest as well, because these are buildings that date centuries. Do you feel that there could be an awareness on the general public's level as far as conservation is concerned, or do you think that the general public here in Pakistan is not interested as far as conservation is concerned?
General public is interested to write their names on the monuments and engrave their names on the monuments. They are not related or not concerned about the fate of the monuments. And the main reason is the illiteracy. Since the education level is almost zero now. Let me tell you that when we got independence, a literate person was that who was matriculate.
Okay.
We were 26%, India was 26%. Then our education level began to fall. Then we reduced literacy rate to class 4 and then class 1. Now a person who can just sign his signature, he is considered as literate. And on that count, we are 42% literacy.
All right.
But India is 100% in the south. Nepal is 100%, Sri Lanka is 100%. Even Bangladesh has gone up. We are going down and down. I mean, Pakistan is the only country where education is regressing and very rapidly.
But what are the reasons for that? Dr. Saab, you've been here, you've been associated with the field of education. What are the main points that need to be kind of highlighted and improved upon?
Only one point. During the time of, let's say, Ayub Khan, assembly had literate people sitting in the assemblies. Now we have totally illiterate people sitting in the assembly. Right. That's it. That's the answer.
So it's the whole administration that kind of, the influence of which kind of falls back on the people.
Of course, yes. People don't like literate people. I mean, why have I have suffered on merit? Because of this, nobody likes me. If they put me in Tajdeed Lahore program or some other development program and ask my opinion and I give my opinion justly and rightly, next time they don't call me.
All right. Dr. Saab, you've received so many awards. You received the Pride of Performance way back in 2001. Then, of course, the Sitara Imtiaz in 2010. You were, of course, on the Academic Roll of Honor at the Government College in Lahore. These awards and so many others that you've gotten, what significance do they have for you?
Well, if you ask me honestly, these national awards, there is a stigma attached to these national awards that they are given on the basis of contacts.
Okay.
This is very obvious. If you have contacts in higher ups or you go around in the corridors of the power, you have contacts with the people sitting in the assemblies or so on, you get award. But with my case, when I got my Pride of Performance, I was out of Pakistan for years. So I had no contact here. And when I got my Sitara Imtiaz, I didn't know about it honestly 12 hours before it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who is doing this? I mean, once I got the award during Musharraf's period, making cartoons against Musharraf every day. And then I got during the time of Zardari Sahab, making cartoon against Zardari Sahab every day. But must be some angel somewhere sitting and doing this job.
Maybe they like critics.
I don't know. This is the kind of irony which I cannot justify.
We are in conversation with Dr. Shaukat Mahmood. We'll be back after the break where we will talk about his life as a cartoonist. So stay tuned right here. Sir, of course, you held the Al-Bukhari Chair for Promotion of Islamic Arts and Architecture at the Kuala Lumpur University from 2001 to 2006. How did that come about?
Well, this job was actually for a Malaysian, but fortunately or unfortunately, they didn't get a proper Malaysian well qualified. And so they offered this job to me, which I thought was a great honor for me. And I did whatever was possible for me to do for Islamic arts and culture, establish a department of Islamic arts at the university, beside teaching Islamic architecture to my students.
All right. And how was that experience like for you being a Pakistani and teaching Malaysians or even other nationals over there?
It was a remarkable experience because I remember after holding this chair, once I got an invitation that Mr. Mahathir is going to inaugurate an exhibition and I should also be there. So I thought there will be a cavalcade of cars and lot of security and policemen and this and that. And as I drew close to the museum where he was coming to inaugurate the exhibition, I saw no hustle bustle, no activity, everything quiet, everything normal. So I went in, no security at all. I was surprised. And at the right time, Mr. Mahathir came, wearing a simple pant and bush shirt, and met us in a very friendly manner. I was really surprised. This was quite new, I think, for a Pakistani. In Pakistan, I mean, the way the traffic is stopped, and there is a cavalcade of 20-30 cars for a minister and chief minister and so on. It was surprising for me. But a remarkable community and remarkable people.
So you've represented Pakistan in various international conferences. Now, which kind of conferences were they and what kind of response did you get?
Well, in international conferences, normally you get a very good response because firstly you take you as that you are really qualified this job and you have come here on the basis of merit, not on the basis of safarish. So, and when you give a paper which is full of new things, which is full of research, then you are given full appreciation for that. So all the conferences where I have represented Pakistan, my country, I think I was fully satisfied with that.
Do you feel proud to be a Pakistani when you go abroad and represent the country, whether it be Kuala Lumpur, whether it be the other countries where you do your conferences, or in their country when you are represented as a cartoonist or of course as an educationist?
Of course, it's a matter of great honor for me, and when we are talking, for example, talking to Indian delegates or the people from other countries, I always feel that I am above them. I am above them. So we are not less than any country.